live version of a stronger newsletter. My guest today and my friend to discuss our session. I'm going to switch to this if you don't mind, so it's a little tighter. My guest is Stella de Silva, joining us from Oman. I am Tatiana Kolavu. I am in Indiana, actually on the campus of Indiana University. And I am very happy to have announced that one of my courses, Delivering an Authentic Elevator Pitch, has made the top 20 of the global learning in LinkedIn. And we were asked to get together in a conversation about the new world of work. And I couldn't think of anyone better to be on this show to discuss the new world of work than my good friend, Stella, who I've had the wonderful pleasure to meet in the last few weeks and talk about life and employment and everything else. So Stella is coming to us in a later time frame as we get started. We'd love to know where you're all coming in from. We have a friend from Pakistan and someone else from Toronto. And in this conversation, unlike a stronger newsletter conversation, this is just a thought of how do you approach the world of work being stronger? What has changed, Stella? Tell us.
Well, first of all, congratulations on you know me, I have to bring my clappers, and I just wanted to say congratulations to you, Tatiana. That's honestly amazing for you. So, I mean, what can we say in the world of work? You know, the last couple of years, especially with regards to our good old friend, Miss Corona, you know, has had a real impact on, you know, how we're working, be it working from home, virtually, or where some people are having to make real tough decisions as to whether or not they can go back to work. So I've had quite a lot of people reach out to me who have been laid off, for example, who are now looking to even transition and use their transferable skills to look for new work. So we are in very, very interesting times, and people like myself who are career coaches and who help people with all things employability skills in terms of getting their resumes fit for purpose. We are really busy at the moment, really busy.
Yeah, you were just telling me you're speaking to a group of very technical people that are looking specifically into an area, and then you work for government agencies as well.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of my kind of work, is that I can talk to people in different sectors, because the common theme or the common ground is, what do I need to do to get my CV fit for purpose, right? So it doesn't matter what industry you're in, the formatting is more or less the same. And of course, the most important thing, Tatiana, is how effectively you communicate and demonstrate your key skills, right?
Absolutely. You know, in the course that I just posted, I talk about when I first meet when any first interaction happens, you're judged on two components: on the warmth, the likability that you come across with, and the competence that you communicate. And you mentioned resume. So much of that competence is communicated on the written word that that piece of paper has. So you have those very valuable few molecules of air to occupy and communicate that warmth. And a lot of it will come from nonverbals, and maybe even the impression that you make in an email that you send or a message that you put in on LinkedIn before you meet the person.
Absolutely.
So what are some, obviously the one piece that I talk about, the new world of work, so much of how we interact happens virtually, and that has changed everything. For me, even on that course, I think I promoted it just a second ago. Let me put it up again. And by the way, I should say that this is the course that we talk about, delivering an authentic elevator pitch, but you will hear us say this a lot. We promoted this. This is the link for the top 20 courses, and allowing you until the end of October, I think, to attend all of those for free. So one of the ways to build this credibility, we talk, and I want to pick your brain, Stella, a little, is I tell my students, I teach MBA students at the Kelley School of Business, if you take a course and it's related to your interests or to your industry, go ahead and post that certificate and note that you have completed it. That shows initiative. What are the things that you think, as people look to change careers or to jump new into a career, what should they be doing?
And I think this is why this live is so useful, because in terms of, you promoting these LinkedIn learning courses means that, people open themselves up to doing a course that they can actually embed onto their CVs, onto their resumes. Because again, you're demonstrating key skills even by just taking the initiative of doing a course and
Mm-hmm.
telling a potential employer or potential client that you've now acquired some knowledge because you've taken a course.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
Mm-hmm.
these kind of courses
Sure.
does, right? And I love the fact that you talked about bringing the air, because again, I use that actually as an acronym in terms of where we come in. So I'll tell you what AIR stands for, where I come in. I'm there to give you that assistance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the I am giving out all the information that you need to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that, one, you're maybe even making the right choices in terms of doing the LinkedIn learning courses, or information in terms of making your CV or resume fit for purpose. And of
Sure.
course, R, I'm there to reassure you. I'm there to
Mm-hmm.
reassure you as a trainer, and I'm sure you do this all the time, Tatiana, with your learners. And we reassure by the constructive feedback that we
Oh,
give back,
so
right?
true. So true.
So
Yeah.
that's why I always use that principle. I always tell my clients, I always tell my learners that I'm here to give you good air. I'm here to assist, I'm here to inform, and I'm here to reassure. But
Sure.
likewise, I think it's also really important that learners or my clients also take accountability.
And do it themselves. That can't be done. You're right.
Absolutely.
You're right. You talk about reassurance. My students, if any of them are listening, what time is it? I'm not in class today, but they are. But I made them do an assignment of recording themselves on a 2-minute. Tell me about one of your values. What's important to you and why? And I sat there and I gave them feedback of how they come across from that warmth and competence. Because if you've taken a course, and I'm speaking to you, and I know you're active on LinkedIn, and I want to talk to you about my employability, or I may say something you are familiar with. I'll say, on a LinkedIn course that I took lately, I learned this. I may not do that with someone that is not familiar or not active on LinkedIn, but that's when you really know when to mention what and how to promote or to uh, build your credibility and your competence in the eyes of your audience. Dean Carroll, a good friend, let me
Hi,
show that.
Dee.
Hi, Dean. Isn't he the best? He's the best supporter, sort of like always cheering me on from the background. So Dean is posting the blog that connected and communicated all the courses. We've got friends joining us from Botswana and from
Oh,
Nigeria,
wow.
from the Netherlands, and Pakistan. And someone asked, where am I? I'm on the IUPUI campus in Indianapolis. I usually teach in Bloomington, but we're here for an appointment, so I didn't want to miss this opportunity. So what are other ways, since we're talking about this, and let me see here. I thought we had a question. Rubina, someone asked, why isn't it not Mr. Corona and it's Miss Corona? I guess
Oh, well, yeah. I always call it Miss Corona. It should be
yeah,
Mr. Really.
yeah,
Mr. Mrs.
yeah. I think it's the ending in A in the Greek language
Right?
assimilates sort of the female word, as we say. Hello, Mohammed from Palestine. So let's talk a little bit about Stella, how in that interaction, if it's virtual, how do you brag? So you talk a little bit about beyond your resume and in a way that doesn't come off, doesn't deter away from what you have, but does help you.
I think there needs to be, you need to strike that balance, right?
Mm,
Because even on resumes, I always tell people, how do you actually show your personality on a resume? Because bottom line is that is exactly what you need to do.
Yeah.
Because, especially in these times, recruiters, hiring managers, they take seconds to skim through your resume and make a decision as to whether or not they're going to continue reading it. So
Yeah.
you're already having to create this, personality, or show who you are within literally the first half of your resume. Because guess what? If you don't, let me tell you what happens.
Wait,
That
do that
happens.
again. I like the special effect. Absolutely. Yes.
Like literally, right? Because
Mhm.
they've got thousands and thousands of resumes to go through. So straight away, you're thinking, how do I transfer my personality without coming across as arrogant or too cocky?
So before you even talk to anyone, how do you show warmth and competence on the resume? Can you tell me that? Because in my class, I talk about on the phone, face to face, or on video. But you're saying in written format, how do you communicate that?
In written format, you need to be, and I know this word is always branded around, but authentic. Because funny enough, people have a sense of, this is a copy and paste job. They can just
Mhm.
sense it by the wording, right? So even words that you communicate really triggers different types of emotion to the reader, right?
Mhm.
So that's the kind of thing that you need to think about when you're even trying to sell yourself on a resume. These are the kind of things that you need to think about when you're even deciding to take a LinkedIn learning course. How
Sure.
is that going to have an impact in terms of what I then communicate to potential employers when I put that I've done this particular course on my resume? So these are the kind of things that you need to be thinking about.
My daughter is studying data analytics, and in her search for internships, she's very aware of the algorithms that pull certain words off of resumes for different industries. What do you recommend? What are the attention getters and the words that could get specifically, maybe it's industry specific, getting into our potential, our learners getting noticed?
So what your daughter was, or what your daughter is actually thinking about is what we call the ATS. And ATS is the applicant tracking system.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this is the algorithm that you're talking about. And
yeah.
it's not actually a question of having these keywords, right? Because organizations and all these portals, recruitment portals, they program this software to pick out keywords. So we don't necessarily know what these keywords are.
Mhm,
But the
mhm,
trick is always to go and look at the job description. So
mhm.
let me give you an example. Today, this afternoon, I was helping a client out with a job application they'd seen to apply through a recruitment
Mhm.
portal, right? But
Sure.
what she hadn't done was really take in the job description, because there were key words that I wanted
Mhm.
her to transfer from the job description onto
Her.
her resume,
Mhm.
because the ATS will then hopefully pick up
Grab,
the
hold it up.
keywords.
Mhm,
Right.
mhm.
So this is where sometimes you do actually need like a career coach or a resume writer, a professional resume writer, because
Sure.
they will instinctively know what possible keywords that the ATS could pick up.
Mhm.
Likewise, I say this, the more boring your resume looks, not sounds. Okay, so I'm going to repeat this again.
Looks,
The
yeah.
more boring your resume looks, not
Listen up,
sounds,
people. Yes.
the more ATS friendly it's going to be. So what we're
Mhm.
saying is we don't want colors, we don't want fonts of different sizes, we don't want borders, we don't want pictures, we don't want graphs, we don't want your photo, because all this the ATS will not recognize when you download your resume
Sure,
through the portals. But a lot of
sure.
people don't know this.
So, the exact opposite of what we say when you meet someone, which is why I designed the course, and they say, "Tell me a little bit about you." that's when you don't want to be boring. That's when you don't want to be predictable. And that's where you better have a story that connects to your
Love it.
why. And it depends on who the audience is. In the beginning of the course, I tell the story. Pretty much it's something that happened to one of my MBA students. He was recruiting for an internship in the agricultural space, and he was interested in a specific high-level machinery company. And so I said, tell me a little bit about you. And we were practicing, and he started sort of going down his resume. And I said, stop. Where are you from? And he was from Southern Indiana. And I said, so why agriculture? What is it? And he starts telling a story about sitting on his grandfather's lap when his grandpa was mowing the fields. And I said, not many people can take that story and make it there. So we created it as kind of, that was what got him started. And that's where I would say you need to find what your connection is to that audience, because audience connection is really specific. Rubina says, it seems that young people are trying to make, hold on, let me grab it here, are trying to make resumes fancy and color designs.
So true, Rubina. Yeah. And this is why I always tell people on my courses, especially on employability courses with CVs, stay away from Canva. Canva is not your friend for your resumes. Yeah. Online templates are not your friend for resumes, simply because they're not ATS friendly. So and I hear this all the time, I've applied for hundreds of jobs, right? And I haven't had a response. That is why. It's not necessarily because you're not the right person for that job. It's just because the ATS hasn't recognized
you're not getting
your resume.
Through. That's true.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Absolutely.
I love Needy, Rubina, Mubina. They're having conversations on the side. Send us some questions that you have for us. The other thing, when we were having our sort of warm-up conversation, Stella, as we talked about what a game changer the opportunity to introduce yourself on a video or online. I work with MBA students that may have been teachers that are looking to go into marketing, or musicians that are interested in consulting, or one of my students is a physical therapist that wants to do operations, or he did operations, and he was having a hard time communicating or selling himself or herself to the audience. And I advise, look at what the skill set is necessary for the field you want to go into. And for example, our music background person that was looking into marketing, it's so much of it is innovation and creativity. And if you can extract some of those main themes and words and tell the story around that, it's so much easier for you to promote yourself too.
I think also, Tatiana, it's a case of also thinking about where your actual target audience are, right?
Yes.
Because again, a lot of people just assume or will just come up and jump onto a social media platform and try to, either sell themselves or looking for something, but their target audience is not there. Yeah. So again, there's so many different elements as to what it is you need to think about in terms of showing that, one, you're credible in whatever it is you need to do, but showing it to the right audience.
I'm going to post a question from one of our learners. Is there a format? This and one more resume question, and then we'll transition. You pretty much said keep the format pretty simple, right?
And one of my hashtags is this.
Thank you, Virgil, by the way.
One of my hashtags is this: keeping it stellarishly simple. KISS. And that's what should actually happen. So the format of a resume is this: you put your personal details, and of course, when you're writing your personal details, you want to put your email, and you want to keep your email clean. Just your name at gmail.com. We don't want sexy Stell 69 none of that. Okay. If you are active on LinkedIn, put your URL as part of your personal details, because again, your LinkedIn could be a point of reference, because
like
some people. Absolutely. So
by the way, side story. I was given the list of 3 or 4 people to connect with for this live connected to my course. And all you had to do is show me Stellalicious. I'm like, I'm bought. I'm sold at Stellalicious. I'm in. Who is this lady? She's lovely. I love it. But that I don't know if an undergraduate or someone would be, or even an MBA student should come up with that as part of their personality. This is, you want to make sure that you don't. You can. So, for example, mine is much more boring. But that's what you're talking about, is make sure that you are putting that on your resume, right?
Um, this is exactly what I'm saying, is put that link in your resume, because again, as I said, it's a point of reference. So,
Yeah.
you're putting your personal details. The next thing you need to do is what we call a profile summary. So you need to talk about how many years experience you've got, if you've been working, if you've been doing internships, whatever it is, and what your expectations are, because a potential employer needs to know, what is it you're looking for exactly?
Mm-hmm.
And am
Mm-hmm.
I the right fit for you? As in, also as to whether or not you're the right fit for me. So those are the kind of things you need to put in your profile summary.
Sure.
Then you need to put what we call your key skills. And this is where a lot of people fail, because a lot of people just list down their key skills,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what I always say is, and this is where we know when people are sort of like, I don't want to say lying, but are not quite telling the whole
Embellishing.
truth. That's the
Embellishing.
word. That's the word. Okay. So if you're going to put a list of key skills, that's absolutely fine. But what you need to start thinking about is, how am I going to demonstrate those key skills in my work experience? Because putting a list
Yeah.
is what
Yeah.
it is, just a
Yeah.
list. It doesn't tell me that you've got those key skills. But
Tell
you
me a
then have to
story that relates to that.
abs-
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
love the fact that you keep coming back to a story, because that's
Mm-hmm.
what it is. You're
Absolutely.
formatting a story. There's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end to this story. So
Sure.
this is where you're putting your key skills. Then after your key skills, you're putting your work experience. People always think
Mm-hmm.
it's education before your work experience. Trust me, we
Mm-hmm.
applaud you for your qualifications. Well done, all you
Yes,
people
that's a
with your
given.
degrees, right?
Yeah.
And your family are proud, you're proud of your achievements. But
Yes.
a potential employer is more thinking, no, what value can you bring to me practically? So I want to see what work experience you've got to make a
Mm-hmm.
decision as to whether or not you'll be the right fit for me. So that's why we
Yes.
say your work experience, then your professional qualifications, if you've got some, then your academic qualifications.
Ah,
And last but not least, what is quite important and what people miss out on is your hobbies and interests.
sure.
Tatiana, do you know that people can actually, when we're talking about how do you then show your personality on a resume? Well, that
Yes,
is
there
it.
you go. Yes,
There
yes.
you go.
Well, you talk about building rapport. You find something you have in common. I see that all the time. People may say triathlon finisher, one a popular Chicago Marathon runner, or juggler, or any. I'm sure you have the stories. And then people, that's all they want to talk about is that one piece.
And that's the thing, the trick of when you put down your hobbies and interests, just like key skills, don't just put a list. Don't put traveling, cooking,
Cooking
reading.
and
If you like
walking on the beach.
traveling, right,
Mhm.
if you like traveling, that's why it's called hobbies and interests, people. If you
Mhm.
like traveling, where have you traveled to?
True.
What
Yeah,
did you
yeah,
learn from your
yeah,
travels?
yeah.
I know you're well into your fitness and sports, right,
Yeah.
Tatiana? So in your hobbies and interests, I'd expect to see that. But
Mm,
I would expect to also see that you have done a triathlon or you have
mm,
done this, because like you said, some people go for interviews and literally some employers or hiring managers are so taken by your hobbies and interests.
mm.
And
Or
when
a
you're
story. Yeah,
right, and when you're passionate about something,
yeah, it shows. Oh, yeah,
it shows, right? And
sure, sure.
in that, more importantly, through your hobbies and interests, you can actually demonstrate the
There's your
key
warmth.
skills.
Yeah. And I would argue your competence, because say back
Absolutely.
to the sports or activities, to do some of that and everything else, you have to be disciplined, you have to be focused, You're probably good at setting goals and meeting them, which is transferable skill, and being able to prioritize and time manage in order to do all of that. Stephen, I want to make sure to get to some of their questions, is asking, should you link to your with a QR code to your profile?
Not on your resume, because
No.
again, that will not be ATS friendly. QR codes you
Ah,
can use has a signature on your emails.
okay.
So, because I do that. So you can use that when you're doing a presentation, if you want people to contact you, but QR codes, resumes, not ATS friendly. No.
Ah, okay. They want to hear, Louisa is asking about the pitch story. So I'm going to respond to that, Louisa, by sending you to, this is how I designed that entire course of delivering an authentic elevator pitch. The questions, and if you want to just look through that course, it's free. In the exercise files, I take you through the questions that will have you design your authentic pitch. But the key here is audience-centered authentic pitch, because maybe I have a story I tell everyone, but maybe it fits better with a specific
Exactly.
industry, with a specific client. I have a day job. I don't wish to switch to somewhere else, but I do change my stories depending on who is in my audience, even from students to an executive education audience to a LinkedIn learning audience. The stories and the backgrounds have to change. So I would say look at the exercise files. The course is free, and it's all of them are free actually as we go through. So the pitch and how you, and you better have, back to what you said, Stella, you have the skills in the beginning of your resume. I tell our students, each of that skill should link to a story or an example. You should be able to say, yes, I am dependable. For example, last week when this happened, or in the past. You better not just have an example from this week, something in the past, or something that you did in a past life or in your past career. That's where our career switchers can transfer a lot more.
I'm
Let me
beginning
see
to think
here.
you. I'm beginning to think that you're taking over my job, Tatiana. That is spot on.
Listen, I'm
Absolutely,
sending them over to you, is
you're
what I'm doing.
absolutely spot on. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone in our chat, Needy says, "Do you do this for students? For undergraduate students, we have an entire career course. It's called Compass, like the compass that you look at to say, okay, this industry or finance and accounting, I could do those jobs. If I'm in brand management and marketing, I could do those jobs." So we do. I think all of academic institutions do a good job trying to steer students and doing those courses early on. But I would say, even if you're 45 and you're thinking, I'm done with this, I need to switch to another space, I always say, find people that do the job that you would like to have and figure out a way to get a 30-minute informative interview. That will test your networking muscle and it will stretch it. But if you do that, you gain so much information, and then maybe you gain a referral to another person to talk to. Would you say that that's a good idea?
I, Again, it's almost like I can't add anything more to what it is you were saying. I also work with those people who choose not to take the academic route. So again,
Mhm.
we work very much with what we call the vocational education and training sector. So
Sure,
these again are where you can get qualifications, but it's more on the job type qualifications.
sure,
And some of them are then, because depending on what level you do them at, some of them are then equivalent to a degree.
sure,
And these are what really then attracts employers, because employers can now see that, oh my gosh, not only have they got a qualification, but they can also demonstrate competency because that is part of their
sure,
qualification. So
sure.
these are the kind of things that, again, people like myself, there are so many people, and I'm sure in the States, you get this, Tatiana, where you might get some learners who come to you and say, I really want to do my degree, but I can't afford to do it. So what's my next
Yeah, yeah.
option?
Yeah.
right? So these are the kind of things that I'm always telling people, that some people are just born academics and want to
Mhm.
study and love studying and will do all these online courses. And there's some people who are just really practical, very kinesthetic, don't want to, don't want to, to be in a classroom type
Sure, sure.
environment and
Yeah.
still go on to succeed and progress.
Learning is learning, and it happens everywhere all the time. It's how you
Absolutely.
communicate it. Yes, absolutely. Um, Louisa, they're answering some questions. When we were planning for our presentation or our discussion, one of the things that we landed on, Stella, so much is how do you, because anymore, I mean, we both do work with LinkedIn and through LinkedIn, and I find it as being such a valuable tool, but it's overwhelming for someone that may not have started. Just yesterday, I sent my graduate assistant, I said to him, I looked at your profile. Go and take this course. I always pitch this course. Hold on, let me have it because I have it as a banner. It's called. You can go find it. Lauren Joldes, Rock Your LinkedIn Profile. There's so many. I know I need to do certain things with my profile to spiff it up, as I would say. But how important is this? Because you talk to recruiters, what are they saying that they're looking at that's important for someone to show competence and warmth?
Right. So, again, before I actually answer that question, what I
Sure.
need people to understand is this: when they come into LinkedIn, you really need to know your why. Why are you coming onto this platform? Because once you know why, what your purpose, what your intentions are, then you can adapt your profile. Because
Mhm.
not every profile needs to be the same. You can't go and I can't go and copy and paste your about section to mine just because I like what you said, Tatiana, because that's not what I do, right?
It's not
Even though,
authentic. No. Yeah.
right. And even so, these are the kind of things that you need to then think about. In terms of recruiters, what they're looking for, again, a bit like your resume, especially when they come to look at your page in your about section, what they're looking for are, what value can you bring to an employer?
Hmm.
What
Hmm.
value as a can, what is it about you that is just that you have, you watch that those programs like the X Factor or American Idol, or
Sure.
and
Special
and
sauce,
the,
as we call it here.
right, and the judges always say there's just something
They
special
have
about
it.
this person.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
sometimes they're not actually good singers, but there's a star quality about them.
Sure.
That
Sure.
is exactly the same principle on LinkedIn. So it's
Mm.
not always about having that experience or having those qualifications or anything like that. But there would have been something that you might have said in your about section that just like, oh my gosh, I want to know more about this person.
I want to ask more. Yeah. What
I
about your
want to ask more.
in your profile, your picture? For me, my I feel very, one of my strong values is the patriotism and love for my country. Maybe because I don't live in it, but I have the
Do
picture
you want
of
to tell people where you're from?
not just that's part of me. That's my soul is there. And I don't care what else happens. I don't think I'll ever take that down because I identify with it. So would you give something that's that specific to to your identity, or do you do it as a discussion topic, or do you change it?
Again, people need to have a different, people have what we call different LinkedIn strategies, right?
Okay.
And I love the fact that you're saying that your banner is part of your identity.
Hmm.
That's just part of
Hmm.
me. That's who I am. And I'm standing by the cause, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
However, if you were
Hmm.
coming to me and saying to me, Stella, look, I'm looking to start a business in fitness, for example,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? I'm going to advise you and try and talk you through, because ultimately you have to make a decision, because I'm a coach. I don't tell people what to do,
Yeah.
right? But we'll have a little chat where I would want you to think about that banner being advertising space. It's
Sure.
real estate, right?
Sure.
So then I will start to probably give you ideas about, look, this is a place where you can put your call to action. This is a place where you can talk about your website. This is a place where you can put a picture of you that shows that you are into
You're
fitness,
doing
right?
something or helping someone. Yeah,
Abs-
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So
Mhm.
that's what your banner needs to say about you. But you don't then lose your identity, because then I might say, well, Tatiana, if you feel so precious about that place, why don't you go back if Miss Corona allows you? Right?
Yeah,
Why don't you travel back there in your keep fit outfit and look sporty on it?
yeah,
Then
yeah,
that's it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So these are the kind of things that I would be talking about. Your
Mm.
banner shows a bit of your personality, right? But it
And
still
that's
has
the
to
warmth.
give
Yeah, we talked about the warmth piece being so
absolutely.
yeah, having the connections for sure.
So you have to have that connection, but you also need to sell who you are. You need to sell your
Yeah,
brand. So if you're a job
yes,
seeker looking for a job in construction, then that's what I would expect your banner to suggest, right?
sure, sure.
So link your banner to what it is for job seekers you are looking for job wise. For people who
Sure.
have businesses, link it obviously to what it is. Link it to your brand. It's all about branding.
And what is that your brand says. Amazing session, Cami. Thank you. We're getting lots of praise here from our friends. I'm
Hey,
just looking to see if there's questions that come up with authentic pitches. I always say authentic because it has to be yours. What are some common mistakes that you see people make as I look through these to make sure I don't miss anything?
you know what? It's going to sound so bizarre, but even profile pictures that are filtered,
Mm.
I don't get it. Because again, I always think when I'm
You
going
mean,
to
you
meet
mean
you,
filtered? You mean touched up, Stella?
yeah,
Or oh,
touched up, basically, right? Because all I keep
like my
thinking is,
background here in this piano practice session. It is what it is. This is the best I could do today. Oh
it
my God.
is what it is, right?
Oh,
So what
yeah.
I'm saying is that I want to meet, or what I say is this: I am who I am online, offline. So there
Ah,
are no
yes.
surprises,
Thank you. Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
So
Mhm.
when you see me, this is what you're going to get, because there are no filters. And
Yeah,
that's why I'm so anti filters. I, at the moment, and I can see it. And again, when people do that just by a profile picture, and then you come to talk to me about being authentic, I'm thinking, yeah, you're a bit contradictory here.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can't talk about authenticity, and here you are with a profile picture that is clearly, photoshopped, and
Mm.
it's got all these
Touched up.
perfections.
Yeah, touched
Right.
up.
So
Uh,
even simple things like that,
mm.
it's so telling about the using, and the word that is being branded in terms of authenticity.
And that's so much in all of the class that I was just talking about here on LinkedIn about rocking your profile. I would say for me, making sure that you sound authentic, that you don't try to be someone else, that you don't speak in a way that's not you, that you don't speak in a way that doesn't show off your personality. That to me is huge. If you meet someone online, now you have to make sure that you're well lit and your background looks like you're not in a witness protection program, and that you are well prepared for the session, but authenticity comes through as the bottom line, probably as we close, on words on a page, on screen, and on camera, of when you meet face to face. That is your absolute winning mark. And if you can find it, and I know for some of our students it's tough as they are maturing into a space, but for our career switchers, if they felt confident and competent in one area, now they're switching into another, they have to figure out what are those transitional skills, or people coming back into the work world as the work world is shifting, the new world of work is shifting. Any closing comments before we say goodbye to our friends?
I think, look, again, you've hit it on the nail. And I think, don't be scared to be you. You are more than enough. And if one person doesn't like you, it's okay.
Yeah,
You can't be friends, even on LinkedIn,
yeah,
with
yeah,
over 760 million people. It can't
yeah,
work.
yeah.
But there'll
No,
be
you're right.
some people that you will have an impact to. And even if it's just one person, you've made the difference. So
Yeah,
again, people with accents, I used to be so paranoid about the way I spoke, how I looked. Now I'm just like, it is what it is. This is it. And if you
I
like
think
it,
age has a
great.
little bit to do with that too, Stella.
And if you don't like it, I'm
Yeah,
okay with that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
again, don't be scared to be you is what I would say.
So my closing remark also has a little bit connection. I couldn't figure out how to get those numbers off, Stella, but my newsletter called Stronger comes out once a month. It talks about ways to use communication to overcome challenges and barriers and blocks that you find many times in the world of work. But as we shift into this new world of work, it's being strong and finding ways to even become stronger. And I want to close by saying it's this community and the village that can help you. Some of the experts like Stella, some of the learning consumers and developers like myself, we can help everyone be stronger and be more effective in the world of work as it changes. So we've hit about our 40-minute mark. I wanted to say a big thank you for staying up late and being such a dear with this, and a farewell. We have some of our friends saying goodbye and taking off from here. Let me see here. Graduate school. I'll answer some of the questions as we go forward, but we'll end the broadcast. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for attending.
Bye.